Yes, a pleasant good evening, although the evening is just finished, to everyone. I am CALYPSONIAN disciple, otherwise known as Umar, Muhammed, Neville, Angelo, Scott, and other names according to the stages of life which I've gone through. My people, my people, my people. Each and every one of us in this system by now should have the common sense to deface it. Right, it's gone. This
should know that life has cycles. Each and every one of us individual, our life has cycles. And there is something about a cycle which many of us do not observe. From whence he come, you shall return. That is a cycle. And when a cycle starts and when it ends are the two most important parts of the cycle. For there will never be a cycle if there is no beginning and no ending. What goes around comes around. From whence he come or from whence he came, according to the English language. You shall return. So therefore we know that there's a next thing about a cycle is there is an up and down about life. Up and down. But up and down also is a cycle. Like the piston that goes up and down but keeps because of the up and down movement in the car engine or in the piston or in the engine, it keeps something revolving, which is the wheels of the car, for it to get somewhere. So you must understand that life has its ups and downs, in and out, round and round. You know, people tell you you're going around in circles or you're spinning. The word spinning represents going around, or you're spinning top in mud. So what happens at the beginning of a cycle and at the ending of a cycle is important. I was just sleeping. I got up from an hour's sleep, and this thing kept talking to me. It's moving me. I am uneasy. I am uneasy. I kept asking questions. I'm getting the answers, but something is not for me to keep it to myself, but it's for me to disperse it, especially to the lost sheep, the living dead. It is for me to propagate it, to divulge it. So here I am, the cycles of life. As I've said before, what is happening at the beginning and also at the ending of the cycle is very, very important. We have a people in this world known as the African people, Alkibu, Nubian, whatever they call us. We are the only race of people that have civilized Europe, that have civilized the white man. We are the only race of people that belongs to a land is known as the food basket of the world, the motherland of the world, where you get all the, how to put the word again, all the jewels, everything. all the richness. We are a very unique people. Our tempo, our voices, the way we do things. But yet still, we are a people that everybody, every other race of people wants to live off. They live off of us. They feed off of us. They do everything. They feed from us. They live from us. They do everything. And when they finish, they kick us in the ass and said, "You're no good. You're a monkey. You're uncivilized. You're lazy." My people, this has been going on for a long time. This has been going on for a long time. As coming down to a certain cycle, we have heard the saying and knowing the saying, "I was sent, but unto the lost sheep of Israel." Whether it be theory or facts or fiction. But we continue to live and we continue to face the atrocities of the other races. And when I say of the other races, not everybody of all the other races, but the majority. Kingdoms were built on our expense, the expense of our blood, the expense of our energy, the expense of everything of our country, our native country, Africa, the expense of our color. The Europeans, they built kingdoms from us. They had World War II and World War I and World War II fighting to get space in Africa, to say, "This is mine, this is yours, this is my space, you take this land." They colonize us. They become colonials of our land. They shit us up. And at the ending of it, they kick us in the ass. And so said, so done, so that the other races wants to do the same thing too, if you watch them. And I'm not putting anything in my mouth to say so. The Indians, the Chinese, everybody wants to do us the same thing too. Politically, religiously, otherwise. We must be humble, meek and mild, and everybody must come on us and give us all those nice talks. All our is one. All life matters. All our we have one blood. If you cut my skin, you get red blood. Yeah. Red is the color, but quality is what we live in it, not the color. A snake has red blood too, a dog has red blood too. She want to tell me because you don't have red blood, I am equal to the dog? Come to that nonsense, man. All those prime ministers and all those people who go to church and talking those sort of nonsense. So here it is. We, the African people, are the scapegoats of this existence of human being of the world. We are the sacrificial lamb of the world. And most of all, are talking about a certain kind of white people who have disguised themselves in the melanite clothing of the black people. They are white inside and black outside. The worst white man you could get is a black one, as I've heard people saying. And it happens in every race. The deceivers, the Judases. It happens. Then there are negative forces that possess themselves in this world, in certain societies, certain civilizations, certain races, for their personal reason. just to make sure that, things do not happen the way it should. Of course, you must have balance in life, you must have positive and negative. But remember, my people, that there is something that people are saying today, white, black, what have you. Enough is enough. We can't take it no more. An artist said it long time ago, but that artist, I don't believe that artist is active according to what he said long time ago. We ain't taking that so. And the bell was rung for justice. But is that bell we're living in now? People changing one. But I don't know. All that is the negative forces possessing in us to let us see things different than what we say, what we do, how we do, whatever. But all in all, my people, I want you all to understand this. As I've said before, I've been asking, I've been suffering on the inside because there is something that I am feeling that is not just of the ordinary. And tell me if you are not feeling it too. Black man, conscious man, African man. Look at the demonstrations. Look at the people. Think of the world and what is going on. Ask yourself a question. Have you ever seen that response to a black man's death in your life? Have you ever seen that? Many have come, or many came, to eradicate the problem, to solve the problem. But they were despised, they were denied, they were mocked. Elijah Muhammad, Marcus Garvey, Malcolm X, and there are many also supporting that. Wallace D. Muhammad, and his followers. We have people like Bob Marley, Angela Davis, Sir Walter Rodney, Hakim Jamal. In Trinidad here we have Makandal Daga. From Trinidad to the outside we Kwame Nkrumah. And many lecturers, historians, many. Don't you notice something? As I've said before, when last I was born 1948 on the 30th of May 1940, and others who were born before me, I am asking you all the question, and I asked myself the question. This is what made me come to this conclusion that I'm about to tell you all, whether you like it or not, whether you think I'm a madman or not. When last have you seen such a response to a black man's death, an African man's death? I am sure that most of you will say they have never seen such a response. And I call names who have come here. Panabab, Baba Yanon, Imam Isha, Dr. York. I call all those names. And each and every one of those names was attacked. Each and every one of those people who try to build a civilization in this modern world today for their people to thrive on, to live, and to develop themselves, they were attacked. They were threatened, and in some cases by their own. I came to my own, and my own receiveth me not. I was sent but unto the lost sheep of Israel. Each and every one of them, Elijah Muhammad, tried to build an empire for his people. That was it. Where is it now? Because our people had seen it and leaders have came forth and seen it fit to say that we want our own schools. We don't want to be controlled or to be dictated by other races. We want our own school, our own economics, our own language, and to try to get back to that, to return to that. But it was trouble, my people. Malcolm X was one of those people. It was trouble. Bob Marley, the deceased Bob Marley, blessed all their souls, says, none but ourselves can free our minds. None. Some of us hear it, or we heard it, and it passed through, it gone the next way. We want to free our minds on a boomsy, on a wine, on things that is not necessary, to stand up by the corner and drink, to smoke, to follow the custom and the habits of the pale man who have us in control and know how to control us religiously otherwise. So we are lost, we are not ourselves. Something had to happen. Something had to happen. Something must have had to take place. My people, feel it. Feel it in the atmosphere. Bob Marley says something mystic is blowing in the air. And everyone can feel it. The rich, the poor, the ignorant, everyone can feel it. If you don't want to feel it, that is your business, because you're dead and you're dead, dead, dead. Something mystic is blowing in the air. The followers of Panabab, the followers of the Nation of Islam, everywhere you go, whatever you follow, the mysticism of the atmosphere is there. Can't you feel it, my people? Can't you look on your TV screen, look in the papers and see what is happening around the world for the life of one black man, one African man? When last have you seen that? England, Germany, it is pandemic. And then closely before that, you had the coronavirus, the COVID-19. The Christian wouldn't be able to see it because as far as they're concerned, their God is white with the long hair and blonde hair, and his name is Jesus. But that same Jesus and that same white God with long hair and blonde hair has done nothing to solve the problem. They have called on him so many times, and according to the scriptures, if you ask for a bread, I will not give you a stone. But we getting busted, we getting stones and bricks and all kind of things, and tear gas and all kind of things with us. So my people, I just want to say, within my little meditation, something has hitting me, and I can't keep it in, I have to say it. Whether you think I'm mad, whether you think CALYPSONIAN disciple is crazy, I don't care what you think. But it's inside of me, the message comes, I receive it sometimes 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, and sometimes, as I said before, I was sleeping, I got up and it's keep rocking me, it's keep tearing me apart. Something is telling me something. Something is showing me something. And I know other people are seeing it, but who is ready to come out and say what is what? My people, our people have built economic towns, villages, where they try to uplift themselves. Elijah Muhammad had done it. And there's a town called Tusa or something. So people build supermarkets. They had their own cars. Black man invent cars. Black man do this. Black people, African people build towns. They had the supermarkets. They had their own banks. We did so many things, and so many things were hidden from the people. And what was not hidden from the people was the rumors. African people can't do nothing. African people lazy. African people do have brains. They can't invent nothing. At one time in life, it was said that the only thing the African man invent was a spear. Then they give you the Tarzan and the Phantom to put wool over our eyes, and oh boy. So African people had to go to their university to develop themselves to become educated prophets. And when I say prophets, I don't mean the P-R-O-P-H-E-T, the P-R-O-P-H-I-T. Because when we go to their university and we educate ourselves under their system, they have us under control. So we become profitable to them. We become public servants. And that is why the situation in the Caribbean where black people are dominant is not that black people are ruling. It is black people are public servants under the system, the 1%, the conglomerates who are ruling us. In that system, the Ku Klux Klan can come in here as tourists and we don't know. They can keep meeting and make decisions over our heads and we don't know. People from the New World Order, what have you, and we don't know. And most of them white people. And if you see black people with them, it's because they need to get something from that black man, or that black man is a stooge to them. And let me tell you something. I'm talking to everybody. You see in Trinidad here, it has some people that are a little straight here. Some of them call themselves Indian. Some of them call themselves Douglas, kind of stupidness, and mix and mix. Yeah, now, let me tell all you something. This thing about mix and mix ain't continue. Straight here and who looking more like Douglas, that ain't continue. Because the deceased Kitchener, CALYPSONIAN Kitchener said in a calypso, once you are not white, you are considered black. So all I want to bleach the skin and all kind of nonsense. That's fear people have developed so that I will do something in order to be recognized under their system. There are some people who are stooges and they like being stooges and they know they are stooges, but they tell themselves they want to get along. They want to survive. Survival for the fittest. Vice is survival for the most stupidest. My people, the death of deceased George Floyd was not an ordinary death. It was not something that happened just like that. The positive forces, the divine forces, the angels, they came together and there was a decision. And the decision is that there are African people who are moving up in life. If you look at the internet, you look around, you'll see African people starting to move back. From whence you come, you shall return. Ethiopia shall rise again, and we are coming through again. The knowledge is spreading. Little African boy on internet, you ask him any question he could answer. You look, you see little African youth in Africa, in Nigeria, all over the place. Well, it's only down here the youth and them still kind of backward in the sense that they want to gun down one another for nothing and lose their life for nothing, and they're not studying the progress of a people, not the progress of a gang. Not the progress of a gang down there that tell an next gang to cause the border. And I know them stripping this. Let me come out and them stripping this. They're outdated. You have to see the bigger picture and think worldwide now. It's not about your gang here and my gang here, or who could have gun or who have machine. We don't have no weapon. What weapon we have? The best weapon we have is our spirituality. We have won battles through our spirituality. An African man come on Facebook with a machine gun to show what we could do with that. As I've said before, the real one now is biological warfare, economic warfare, psychological warfare. Because you who don't know anything about psychological warfare, you have that gun. What kind of mentality you have behind that gun? You could kill yourself. You're killing your own self. You're putting your own self in a barrel of crab. Economic warfare. Where's your economic? What economic power you have? That gun cannot shoot that economic warfare. It cannot shoot the psychological warfare. What spiritual warfare you have? How much you know about your spirituality of ourselves before we came into slavery? How much you know about that? how much you know of the power of African people, the African spirituality. That gun cannot shoot that. So what can that gun shoot so that your family could be powerful, not just having 2 cars or 3 cars, but all of us in East Driver and those areas that we call ghetto could control our own destiny, could have our own economic situation in East Driver, our own supermarket, without being tormented by one another because a man comes up with some business and the next minute we want to go and trust on him, and when time comes to pay him back, when he asks you for your money, you're telling him, but you're jumping me, or you're jumping me so. And you might even threaten and tell him, you won't get your money, you know. Or you might even want to kill him. We have to come out of that. Look at the situation. It's a world situation. It's not you and your stupid little self with dog and hog and a nigger. And the word nigger and negro come out of that too. You ain't hearing nobody in any one of them demonstration or mass talking about Negro life matters. At least some of them who don't want to say African saying black life matters or nigger life matters. Come out of that. It won't pay you no good. Or your children, if you really study your children and the future of your children and your grandchildren, get out of this nonsense. And that is why I'm saying that somebody, the life of George Floyd was snuffed out. It was not ordinary. It was not ordinary. Because lives have been, so many black people have been killed already. And as I've said before, the response was, well, black lives matters, black life matters, and somebody come up and say, all life matters. Oh, all life can be matters. How all life can matter and you're in control? I mean, I look at the state of black people. They're not in control, and you're going to Africa and you're taking out what they want from the African Chinese and all the other races. Some years ago, there was a contention with Idi Amin and all that kind of thing. So how all life can matter when all is not equal to each other, when all is not treated equally? So don't come and tell me all life matters. In places like Trinidad, black life matters, but any part of the world, because for you to watch any white man or any system that is against you and say black life matters, and they don't understand that the black life matters from the way how you oppose the struggle, the success of the struggle, and that means that you have to know how to deal with the people. With a black brother, a black sister, you shouldn't see a black sister only as a whore or somebody to whine on a boomsy and call she bitch. You shouldn't just see a black brother as dog or just to join some young to gun down one another. How a black life cannot matter if that nonsense is going on, and that is why I'm saying that we have reached a position, we are coming back to the circle from whence you come, we shall return, to eradicate all these things. But somebody had to pay the price. So many black people have been shut down, gunned down. We heard of the woman who didn't want to give up a seat for the white person in the bus. Yes, but the question is, had that the sort of response as what is happening now? My people, when you see they have demonstration all over the world, and white people are in that demonstration, I ain't seen the Indians, I ain't seen the Chinese. As I was speaking to a brother of mine today, he said, boy, we've not seen the Indians and the Chinese. Well, they have their own agenda, and they're going to get it good if it's some game they're playing. I'm not saying good, I don't mean violence. Yes, violence will come in, because while you and I, and that is why I sort of what I call be very particular about demonstration and marching, while you and I will not go into a marching to demolish, deface, or destroy people's property. There are people who will do so. And that is why we are seeing the white man there. But you have to be very careful, because not all white man in that march. Is that we see it loud and clear, right? We have heard it loud and clear, we have seen it. That no, not all white man in this demonstration is truly with us. Some of them sympathize with us, and they know what is going on. So when you see that in these times white people could have the placard, Black life matters. I can't breathe. Yes, they can't breathe because they want to breathe freely, because they know that if this whole thing turns into a dominantly black against dominantly white, it will be devastating, whether who will wipe out who or whatever it is. So the positive forces know that they will have other people on our side too. It's an angelic. It's that decision came about so that all these things will happen. But one person has to pay the price. There must be a sacrificial lamb. There must be a life. Something must happen sometime, somewhere, somehow, so that we can acknowledge enough is enough. I can't breathe. Now is the time for me. Now is the time. And so that sacrificial lamb, bless his soul, George Floyd, is with the angels, is with the positive one beyond. Because he was a sacrificial lamb to wake up the world. My people, have you ever seen such a thing like this? Have you ever seen such a response? Such a support like this? The whole world, Germany, England, all over the world, it spread like wildfire with a disease behind it. COVID-19. So my people, this is because we are returning to where we came from, and we have to develop ourselves so that we can be accepted in the next cycle. We have to pave our way to be happy in the next cycle. Maybe some of us wouldn't be here, but our children and our grandchildren. Many more we know will have to suffer, many more will have to die. From whence ye come, we shall return, we returning. Yeah. Bless the soul of George Floyd. That man did not die just like that. It didn't going to happen. As I said before, many African people have died under the brutality of the police. But this one was a special one. This one was, according to some Christians, who say was an anointed one. This one had the support of the omnipotent forces, the positive ones, the angelic forces. Black life matters. They themselves are saying it. Black life matters. And when somebody cannot breathe, it is because that person wanted to breathe. Yeah. So I cannot breathe. I can't breathe has breathed a life in us, an awakening in us, so that we can go forward, so that the world can be with us, so we can march all areas of the world and tell the world enough is enough. This is not something simple. We are coming to a point where enough is enough is enough. Something had to happen somewhere, sometime. Somebody had to be. And here it is. They try to destroy Panabab, to destroy the teachings of all the righteous one that came. And when the omnipotent forces see that, they say, hey, here we are. We have to give our people another chance. Something had to happen. Because the innocent will pay for the guilty. Some of these parents who are slack and only indulging in nonsense in front of their children, and these leaders, especially black leaders in the Caribbean. Let us come to a conclusion. Something must happen. The conclusion was George Floyd. I don't care what you say. I don't care if you think I'm mad, if you think I'm crazy. But I'm telling you, sit down by yourself and think. Look at the TV. Look at the newspapers. Look at the fear in some people. Look at the people who you thought that would have never, by their numbers and by their millions, come together with African people, marching together with them, confronting the police with them and saying, Black life matters, I can't breathe. Look at that. And tell me, if you don't think, or if you want to meditate strong enough, meditate and send your mind where you can get an answer. And you will realize that the sacrificial lamb, or the sacrifice was done so that we can go forward and our children and children will meet a cycle of happiness. Think about it. Look into it. We are stubborn, we are hardened because we get caught up in a sort of life, in a sort of system that some of us sweeten us so much that we don't want to move, we don't want to leave. Something must happen to wake us up. And if you don't wake up now, I don't know what to say. What will happen again? I don't know. Probably, as Bob Marley said, many more will have to suffer and many more will have to die. Now, let me tell you a short history of Trinidad. From since I was born, I know Trinidad and Tobago. From 1948 to 1970 was a crucial year in Trinidad and Tobago. That was a wake-up time in 1972. We went back to sleep, and certain events took place for us to catch ourselves. 20 years after 1970, we had 1990, the attempted coup. 20 years after 1990, 2010, we had the first Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, the first female Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. You have to take these three events into deep consideration: 70, 90, 2010. Each of them 20 years apart. But what happens is that when two numbers meet together, it causes an explosion. You know, like if you take the negative side of a battery and the positive side, and you try to connect it with a steel or wire, you get a spark. And this is what happened. 2020. You have 20 and 20, two numbers of the same kind. I don't know what happened in the year 1919. I was here around 1919. I think some big event had happened because you had 19 and 19, the two same numbers, side and side together. I think they say it was the Spanish flu or something. But now you have, after 1990, 2020. And it's a big difference in Trinidad and Tobago. It is the very first time in Trinidad and Tobago that we have school closing so long, that people have to wear masks on their face, that people have to stay home. That business, first time we have this kind of thing in Trinidad and Tobago. First time. So this is when two numbers come together. It causes an uproar, an explosion, and again, we have to open our eyes. We have to open our eyes to that. Because apart from the COVID-19, as I said before, we had a worldwide situation of the death of George Floyd that is hitting us also. But in this situation where you have black people being dominant under the control of the people who run the system, you have to be very careful in what you say when you talk about Black Lives Matters. Because technically, people can come and hit you with that and make you look like a fool. Be careful of what you say and know to say it. It's not like the States. The policemen are black, and so you have to be careful. You have to look at the mathematics of the situation in Trinidad and Tobago, and you have to know what answer to come up with, and you have to know how to add and subtract your numbers properly to take away and whatever it is. So therefore, when 2020 comes, this is the explosion. This is what we are experiencing in Trinidad and Tobago that we have never experienced before. Yes, people are experiencing it all over the world, but I've said before, and that is an excellent topic by itself, Trinidad and Tobago is a unique place in this world. It is a tiny dot, but it is powerful. Yeah, it is very, very powerful. Sometimes we may want to touch on the subject, and we could be right in a sense, right? But we can't just go along with this in any ordinary way. God is a Trinity. So with 2020, everything now is boiling down to not 20 years apart, but 10 years apart. Because you have two 2020, right? You have 20 and you have 20. That is two numbers. And these two numbers have 2 at the beginning to make it 20. And if you divide 2 into 20, what are you getting? 10. So it won't be 20 years apart again. It will be 10 years apart. So let's look forward to see what will be happening in the year 2030. And let it be something positive for us. Let it be a hooray, a smile, and a clap, and applause for Trinidad and Tobago. In Trinidad and Tobago, we all have to come out and support, be part of the world support for George Floyd. As I've said, I'm not seeing the Indians, I'm not seeing the Chinese. And I want the Indians and I want the Chinese to know, this is no game. If the African people is directly under control in which part they have to eradicate them or they become so weak that they are under control, no, for sure the next people they want to get under control is you, the Indian, you, the Chinese. This is how it's going. Let's suppose they get rid of us entirely. Who left next to be under control? Because of what they're fighting, the Indians. They get rid of the Indians. Who left next? Who is left to be under control against the Chinese? Then you may have the other mixed races and so on. And then you could have the white people from their own group because they decide to eradicate any white person who seems to side with black people. That's why I see many of the white people getting damaged in the, they call them nigger lovers, they call them traitors. Just like how we will do the same thing with our people who decide to go along with the white people and their system. Right? So my people, Umar, Muhammed, CALYPSONIAN disciple, look into what I have said. It's not just an ordinary thing. As Bob Marley said, and I wanted to listen to what Van Doran is saying, something mystic is blowing in the air. Have a good night. Thank you very much for listening to me.